Hey, what's good, listeners? Welcome to the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Bunker Edition. Good morning, Marissa. How's it going, fam?
Oh my gosh, it's great. There's clouds in the sky right now. I know it's not supposed to be weather talk, but I love it. I love
know it's
no
all
sunshine.
good. I mean, finally, the change of season is coming, and obviously, with
Pumpkin
that
spice
brings.
lattes.
Well,
Hey.
it's funny that you bring up the weather because the first thing that I saw this morning that was trending number one on Twitter was that Van Gogh. I don't know what Van Gogh ever did to climate.
I know.
But, he got vandalized this morning in London at the National Gallery by a group called the Just Stop Oil. Did you see this, Marissa?
I did. I saw the video when I got off work this morning, and I was pissed. I have to say, I'm a lover of art, and I was pissed. And Van Gogh is one of my favorite artists. Like, I have to admit, it's kind of cheesy, but I love him. I got a lot of his like prints on stuff. I went and saw the immersive experience with Van Gogh when it was out here in LA, and I have to say,
that's
man,
right.
I think if I was there, I would have slapped her. I honestly would have slapped her because I've been so upset. Like, why do you have to Van Gogh? Van Gogh wasn't polluting.
I guess it's important to let the listening audience know that Van Gogh piece did not get damaged. It's unharmed, but still, clearly, I think they obviously got the message across when you throw tomato soup all over a Van Gogh painting, which, Marissa, I mean, let me know if I'm saying this wrong, but like the last I recall, Van Gogh grew up as like a mentally ill person, fighting to become relevant all the way until his deathbed. And then, once he passed away, then he became the great.
He never sold a painting while he was alive.
And are they just upset because he actually used oil-based, for his artwork?
I honestly don't know why that painting, it's sunflowers. Why that painting, why Van Gogh, why? I mean, there's so much. I mean, that National History Museum, I mean, there's so much that you can go on. I guess environmentalists, there's colonialism you can go about, stuff like that. But like I don't know, I'm lost. I feel like
you would have
lost.
thought they would have thrown tomato soup on Christopher Columbus statue if there's still one even standing to this day.
I don't think they care about Christopher Columbus now.
I guess obviously not. I mean, climate change needs to be the main focus, obviously, from this activist group called Just Stop Oil. But you know what was also kind of cucaracha today, Marissa? Well, at least I was reading this week. I've never heard of this kind of trend before, but like there was a girl who was a devoted dog owner, right? And she was just so heartbroken that her beloved bull terrier passed away. And what did she do? Listening audience that's tuning into the Chris Collins Show, she actually inked her ashes into a tattoo into her body. Have you ever heard of this kind of thing before,
Dude,
Marissa?
that's so old school. I've had friends.
That's old school?
Old school. 2 decades ago, I've had friends pass away. They got their ashes. My friend's name was Evil.
Wait, another human ashes inside?
Human ashes, Evil.
What?
And a couple of my friends tattooed using his ashes.
Is that even safe?
Probably not. I mean, I didn't do it. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it's not hygienic. But I mean, nothing happened. Their tattoo was fine. It just mixed in with the black ink. And then I had other friends that have drank the ashes with beer.
What?
I mean,
okay, that is beyond insane.
It's old school.
Man, we might be thinking, a little bit of what Aaron Rodgers be doing out in the middle of South America. Rainforest might be kind of a little bit kind of hippy dippy, kind of rituals kind of going on. That's kind of crazy.
If I die, Chris, turn me into a diamond. $8,000.
I was thinking you wanted to be the pink diamond.
No, you could turn my ashes into a diamond. I want to be a diamond.
But I mean, as we're having this conversation, for some of the OG people that have tuned in for the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, since season 1, you might remember one of our very first guests. That was Jacob Tillman. He was the executive producer for a phenomenal film called De-Inked. And one of the biggest things that stuck with me, Marissa, was the fact that Jacob Tillman was saying that, some of these asshole, tattoo masters, they like to mix in green and blue. And what does green and blue create, Marissa? Do you remember?
No, I can't even remember.
It creates
now.
the color black. And remember, he was saying that the color green is one of the hardest inks to pull out of your body. So could you imagine that they butchered that girl's tattoo and it doesn't look like a bull terrier, it looks like a pug that just ran 200 miles per hour into a wall? I mean, could you imagine? Are you even able to take out
That's
the
funny.
ashes of that
That's
dead
funny.
dog?
That's actually really funny. That is definitely a question, Chris.
That is definitely something that Jacob Tillman, if you were tuning in right now, please join the YouTube chat, man, because that is like totally freaking insane. But hey, I want to let everybody know, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss a live show. You are tuning into the Chris College Show, Millennial Bunker Edition, and we've got a great show that's tuning in for everybody right now on YouTube Live, because joining us on Just Talking is writer and director Jenny Waldo to discuss her debut feature film, Acid Test, as well as strike a chord artist Kulick. And also don't forget to check out our music podcast series, Off the Fret, featuring emo rocker Anson as our 6th installment. More music talk. All right, Marissa, it is time to rock and roll. This one's called Say It.
I'm beyond livid.
That's what's been irking me like crazy.
Psycho X.
We hope that he grows from this.
No, legit, I was trying to figure that out also.
Whatever's on our mind, there's something that's been griping.
So, I get to just say it.
That's my question, Marissa. This is Say It, because whatever on Marissa Pitts and I's mind, hey, we just get to speak it out loud, fam. And let's get right on into it. What's their age again? Tom DeLonge, Travis Barker, and Mark Hoppus are reuniting as Blink-182 for the first time since 2015 for a new international tour. The band also dropped a new song titled Edging, which marks the first time the trio has been in the studio together in a decade. Tom DeLonge also reacted to the backlash, which let me go ahead and share that with you guys right now, which you can clearly see with this video. Tom DeLonge was responding back saying that, hey, listen, look, the scalpers are going crazy on the ticket prices. Sorry. Oh, that isn't us. But you know what? The thing that people are calling out, even Tom DeLonge himself, along with the ticket mobster, aka Live Nation, Marissa, they're saying that this isn't scalpers. This is the prices that are going for right now that are non-resale tickets. And Marissa, real quickly, I gotta go ahead and showcase some of the fan responses.
Oh yeah,
which this one was hilarious, fam. Go ahead and check this one out. This one's called Ticketmaster are criminals. Dynamic pricing is bullshit. $2,000 for 2 Blink-182 tickets in Toronto in the hundreds level. Absolutely criminal. We also got fan number 2 that says this is a disgrace. $325 before fees. It shouldn't cost the price of a 3-day festival to see Blink-182, but that's what you get with Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing. I don't care if Tom discovers aliens live on stage. It still isn't worth it. And, this one was also very funny, too. When Blink-182 said work sucks, I know. I didn't think it would mean working to get their tickets. And what's my age again? The age where I have to decide between rent and Blink-182. So, Marissa, join in on this conversation. This is
funny.
Just hysterical.
I would never pay that. I would never, ever. If
it was the Stones, I would absolutely pay.
When the Stones came out, on their last tour, I paid $250 a ticket, worth every penny. Great seats, not nosebleeds, great seats. It was awesome, worth every penny. Blink-182, $34 is what I'd pay.
I know, isn't that crazy? I mean, I remember seeing Travis Barker.
Yeah,
I remember seeing Travis Barker back in the day at Self Help. He was playing drums with Yellow Wolf, the rapper. And now, those tickets were going for about $65. Even people forget, like Blink-182 was playing live music like 7 years ago with Matt Skippa, who was the one that filled in the shoes for Tom DeLonge all these years. And those tickets were not going for over $200. So the fact that Tom DeLonge, a guy who is an alien conspiracist, and then another guy who they picked up at the skate park, and Kardashian's boyfriend. This justifies why it's so much money. I mean, it's insane.
But that's why it is. Honestly, it's because of the Kardashians. I'm telling you, Chris got her fingers in that pot. Anytime you mess with those Kardashians, you're going to be put out there. You're going to make more money. I mean, hey, I want one of you to date me. One of you needs to date me, okay? I'm not even gay, and I'm down for it, okay? Because you make them rich. You put them out there. I wouldn't stay with them long.
But you know what I find just really insulting is that, again, Tom DeLonge is trying to pretend like, hey, don't blame us trio, it's Ticketmaster and, it's their dynamic pricing, blame the scalpers. But you know what, guess what? We sort of talked about this like 2 weeks ago, or not 2 weeks ago, excuse me, last season, where, clearly there are brokers out there that buy out a third of a lot of these pre-sale hype. And, they're an entity, they're a firm, they will, manipulate the system. And hopefully we can get an artist like Pearl Jam again, who can find that base where they will sell tickets at a fixed price. Can we just stop with the ticket mobsters and stop supporting these guys? I mean, it is so freaking frustrating. But hey, guys, I know we could stick around on this for quite a while, but we got a great show still coming up right now on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. So stick around. More left. What's good, listeners? Our guest on Just Talking is director and writer Jenny Waldo to discuss her debut feature film, Acid Test, live on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. How's it going, fam?
Woo-woo!
You doing good, Jenny?
Hi, Jenny.
Hey. Yeah,
hey, what's good? Hey, well, that's great. We love hearing that from you. And I feel like it's, since we are a video on air production, I think it's our own due diligence that we go ahead and showcase the teaser now of Acid Test. So guys, check it out. This is an amazing film.
All right, so you pick me up at 11? Go. Bye, Mom. Bye. It's been way too long. It was almost impossible to get out of that house. My dad just kept arguing and... Bye. All right, kid. Let's go have some fun. I dropped acid. What? Took a tab of acid. Could you please sit for me? Should be kicking in any moment now. What? Is this why you invited me? Drop acid.
Oh, yeah, Jenny, congrats on the success of your debut feature film, Acid Test. And for anybody that was just watching that teaser trailer right now, what is this film all about?
Well, it's a coming-of-age rebellion story, and it's fueled by riot girl music, a dysfunctional family, and, of course, LSD. So it's set in the 90s, and it's based on my own troubles. And so it's a kind of blast from the past, but it has a lot of relevant themes to what's going on today.
And Jenny, it's my understanding, as you just said right now, it's based on true events. This film, Acid Test, really kind of figuring out your own self-discovery. And why was it important for you to tell your story?
Well, I hadn't seen a character that I identified with much, especially with some of the, when they talk about female filmmakers or female-centered films, the riot girl aesthetic. I was a punk kid, that I didn't see that a lot for the girl stories, so to speak. And, riot girl has kind of come back actually, in the last, since we've been working on the film, and Bikini Kill has done a reunion tour, and we had Moxie, which was a Netflix movie that kind of incorporated some of that aesthetic. But when we started with a short film, none of that had started at all. And so I just felt like there was something about the kind of angry female population that I hadn't seen. And this was also before the Me Too movement. So there was kind of this collective, I think, angst building with this, kind of being overlooked or pushed to the side or marginalized.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the only, like I said, I'm, all into punk rock too, and I agree with you. I think the only movie that I can pinpoint growing up on and seeing myself reflected, and it was more of a comedy takeoff, was Tank Girl. Tank Girl came out, and I was like, oh my God, that's me, but funnier. You know what I mean? Right. Other than that, there was nothing, because you talk about the anger that wells up. I mean, that's what drew me to punk. That's why I'm still in there, you know, in the pits, stage diving, right? An outlet for this anger and stuff that you definitely showcased in there, which was great.
And Jenny, when you decided to write and direct a movie about dropping acid at a concert and then coming home, confessing to your parents that you're tripping balls, there must have been some genuine nerves. I mean, to retell your story. I mean, were your parents receptive of this film?
Well, it definitely has been a journey. And again, you know, to a certain extent, because we started with a short film, there's been time to kind of acclimate, I think. I was definitely terrified of being personal about these things. And I'm also a mom, you know, in a suburban neighborhood. I mean, when people are like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, I just directed a movie about dropping acid. Oh, and it's based on me. Like, that's not something you really talk about around the soccer field or the swimming pool.
Yeah, because they're probably thinking that you're directing like some X-rated comedy film. I mean, that would be my first reaction.
So it definitely was something that brought a lot of nerves, but I'm the type of person, and I think you see it in the punk scene, where it's like, and you see it creatively, where if it scares you, that's exactly what you should be doing.
Right. I mean, when you're discussing, you know, a touching matter, you know, sparking a hallucinogenic family meltdown, I can only imagine that it's terrifying on a level. Am I right? I mean, was that kind of tough to have to go back in the past and refocus on these moments that clearly I could see right now with you right now live on YouTube, that you're a totally different woman now?
Yeah, definitely. It was, I really feel like writing the feature film was kind of a moment of psychosis for me, because I had to go back and think about, you know, difficult, conflicted things I'm not fully resolved with, you know, just for myself or even with my parents, and kind of live in that and think about it in this, not just from a therapeutic standpoint, but like, how would this make a good narrative film, you know? And so it was a really, really weird thing to do. And certainly, you know, there were times where my parents would call to check in, and we do have an ongoing and, you know, settled relationship now, which you know, they're very supportive. But it would, you know, I'd be kind of like thinking about these moments, these arguments, and they'd call me and be like, hey, how's it going? And I'd be like, you know, I just
not the time to be kindling at the moment. Because I know, Jenny, Acid Test is, you know, more than just an acid trip. It's a coming of age story of a teenage girl's path to challenging her family's dynamics. And how did Riot Grrrl music change the way you view yourself in the world?
Well, you know, like we were talking about, I was really into the punk kind of scene. And the punk scene historically has been a fairly masculine scene. And there were a lot of things that I liked about that. I was a tomboy. I was not particularly very girly. When I cut off all my hair, people, you know, often mistook me for a boy, and I didn't really feel very comfortable in my femininity, you know, or what it meant to be a girl or a woman. And so for me in the 90s, and I grew up in Washington, D.C. when Bikini Kill was based there, you know, so I got to kind of be there at their early concerts, and this idea of, you know, how do we make space for women in this scene and for girls, and can you still be a girl and still be cool and still be, you know, punk rock and all this stuff. It really opened up this, you know, just even for myself, this idea of how can I be me, and like, you know, recognize all of my facets and who I am, and not necessarily cut it off because I was uncomfortable with it. And so it really just, it really was a before and after moment where I really feel like Riot Grrrl changed everything about it, and opened up this idea of how to be political and to be active and to bring that into my everyday life, and how do you push back on things, how do you ask for what you need, how do you find your voice, you know. So it was really instrumental in who I've become.
No, I think that is such a great point, Jenny. And I know before Riot Girl, the scene, really took off, how, Kurt Cobain really addressed a lot of the things that you were saying. He would call it cock rock, the punk rock music scene, because it was full of men. And, who were these female bands that you were growing up listening to in the Riot Girl scene? I know you said Bikini Kills, but were there some of these other iconic female acts that really kind of stuck with you all these years?
Well, my favorite band was a local DC band called Slant Six. And I saw so many of their shows, and they would often play or open for Fugazi. And there were other kind of bands, the smaller bands, or, that Sonic Youth was also, they were a bigger kind of band and kind of punk adjacent to a certain extent, but they were just amazing. And the icons that came before, like Debbie Harry is punk, even though it's just, all of that stuff was so inspirational, and it was such an education. I got into Billie Holiday, who was also so punk, but just in the jazz scene, so.
No, I totally hear you on that one, Jenny. And I know, I don't mean to bring up your age, Marissa, but I wasn't necessarily born during the Riot Girl era. Mm-hmm. So how was that scene like, growing up? Marissa, did you ever get involved in the Riot Girl scene? I feel like this would be right up your alley.
Well, I was living on the streets of Hollywood during a lot of that time. And I grew up with female fronted bands, listening to Naked Aggression would be LA's female fronted, still playing to this day, very pro woman. Vice Squad from out in the UK, just stuff like that. But most of the bands that I loved and followed, GBH, they were all men bands. There weren't a lot of female fronted bands. Yeah. You'd have a female bassist once in a while. Every blue moon nowadays, you see female drummers.
That's true. And I know that's why a lot of excitement's happening currently right now with Paramore. I wouldn't say Paramore is necessarily a Riot Girl music, but obviously, she's grown from inspiration from that. But Jenny, I kind of wanted to bring this up because I'm sure you're aware of the Riot Girls' famous manifesto. We are angry at society that tells us girls equal dumb, girl equals bad, girl equals weak. So when you hear this, what goes through your mind?
Yes. and that's why we incorporated it into the film. These were words that, it was a lightning rod for me. And so, we have, in the feature film, that's one of the discoveries, is they find one of these Riot Girl manifesto zines and start reading it out loud at the concert. And then that's threaded through, they kind of come back to it and they read different passages. And so it really was something, again, where, this idea, that kind of internal monologue that you have that kind of tears you down, or you're absorbing it from little cues or unspoken things, it really is something that, when you see it in black and white like that, you're like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I really feel like it hasn't gone away anytime soon. What I find really incredible, Jenny, is that the Riot Girl movement turned 30 back in 2021, but it feels like this feminine movement is never went away. And there was a line that really stuck out with me in your film where Jenny, the character, says, quote, "What does having sex now mean that you're a woman? Why does it mean that you have to be together?" I don't even know what I'm thinking or feeling, but I'm sure the viewers want to know, what did you want us to take away from that scene?
Well, I think there's, the running theme is this idea of identity. And to a certain extent, the Riot Girl had, was problematic to a certain extent. It wasn't very intersectional, especially when it was, just starting out. And so there's been, in the evolution of Riot Girl and society in general, there's been a lot more kind of discussion around this. But the overall idea is, how do we define our identities? How do we fit within, society? And there are all of these different things or ideas that are being told to us, or that we read, or we, like I said, absorb from movies and television and from what other people are talking about. And we're constantly thinking about oh, well, this is what happened to somebody, does that affect me. And this idea, I mean, certainly, you know, sexuality and developing relationships, you know, this idea of, you know, how do I define myself? How do I define myself as a couple? Am I now defined by, you know, this man or whoever that I'm engaging with? And so, you know, that's all kind of part of the internal monologue that's kind of running. And you know, I just kind of wanted to have these little questions and these little spaces open up where it's like, you know, you're not defined by whoever it is that you're with, and you have to kind of define yourself. And
do you think that that we're wired to have lots of casual encounters? Like, do you think that as women we're wired that way to have it? Because that's something that I question.
I think that there's a fascinating and probably ever long conversation that we could be having about it. I do think that there are biological kind of hardwiring genetic things, you know, which can muddy the waters. You know, there's a lot of hormonal things that kind of start pumping through and, you know, can, I think, influence or change how we're thinking about things, you know, much like any drug might. And I think there's a spectrum, you know, there's a spectrum of where people kind of fall on, you know, where they, you know, who they hook up with or who they don't hook up with and all that stuff. And so, you know, I think I wouldn't ever want to say it is one thing because to me that was kind of the biggest thing. And one of my running arguments with my own teenage kids now is like, for me, the reason why I've embraced the female filmmaker moniker, which I kind of didn't like when I first started becoming a filmmaker, because I was kind of like, well, I love all kinds of films. I mean, I love Quentin Tarantino films, or I love, you know, it's like, you know, there's nothing, I want to make those kinds of films. But the reason why I kind of adopted it was because, you know, it is a white male dominated industry. And, you know, I wanted to kind of make that statement and also make space for female films that covered things that I wasn't seeing in the female led films. Cause, you know, I wasn't really identifying with many of those either. And so for me, this idea of, you know, which box do you pick? And you see in the, you know, like I said, in my teens, there are like many, many, many boxes now in terms of how you identify. And so on one hand, it's great because there's kind of more discussion and more diversity. On the other hand, I've got decision fatigue, being like, am I this box and this and this? It's like, can't we just have a box that's like human and check? And it's the umbrella term for,
preach, Jenny. Totally preach.
I find it interesting just because I'm you know, as a mother to a young girl, I'll be honest with you, I would never want my child in the punk scene back in the 90s growing up. Women were groomed. I was groomed. My boyfriend was 21. I was 15. That was so common. The grooming, the sexualization, being pro women, have sex what you want, really benefited the men. Yeah, I'm just be honest, you know what I mean? So I see those tones in your film and so on. So it just always makes me bring that up as a female, like how liberated are we when we say, oh, I can have sex with anybody, but is that hurting us? And then are we also being groomed that way?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the whole sex positive culture, I think it's, you know, again, there are many wonderful things about it. On the other hand, you do want to think about, and this actually came up a lot in my collaboration with Giant Kitty, which is the main band. They're no longer together, unfortunately. But, you know, in the film, you know, Miriam, the lead singer, and I would talk about, she'd be like, you know, it really bothers me that there are a lot of people, a lot of men who love Riot Girl just because it's hot to see a woman screaming, you know, or like in pain, you know what I mean? Or it's that idea of like the strong female character that can kick your ass, but like it's also kind of like a twisted attraction, you know. And so I think these are all part of kind of the nuanced conversation that I love having and hope Acid Test sparks, you know, in other people, that it's not one thing or another. It's like there is a lot of gray, and you know, half the time growing up, and this is threaded through, like I'd be like, well, am I a good Riot Girl, you know, because I, you know, like you too also, you know what I mean? It's like you know.
No, and on that note, funny. Jenny, I think that is definitely fair enough. And guys, anybody who has not checked out this film yet, go ahead and check out Jenny Waldo's directorial feature film debut, Acid Test. It's an incredible film. And where can they check that out today?
Yes, acidtestfilm.com is our website. We've got links to the digital platforms that we're on. We're on, iTunes, Vudu, Google Play, Amazon, and Comcast, and other platforms. So you can check us out on acidtestfilm.com. Acid Test Film is our handle on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and TikTok.
Rock and roll, Jenny and Waldo. We can't thank you enough for joining the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. It is a phenomenal film. And the next time you drop that next feature piece, definitely reach out. We'd love to have you back on, fam.
Thank you so much. Jenny. It was great. I appreciate it.
Hey, as always, have a good rest of your day. But for all the listening audience that's tuning in right now on YouTube Live, stick around because we have more left on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. What's good, listeners? Our guest on Strike a Chord, who has recently amassed over 3 million streams on Spotify, is rising pop rocker Kulick, with us right now on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. And also check out our 6th installment of Off the Fret, More Music Talk, featuring emo rocker Anson, out now on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. But Kulick, how's it going, my friend?
It is good. How are you, man?
Woo, and that's what's up.
Hello,
it better be good. I know the last time I was just talking with you real briefly yesterday, you were already in that writing session as we speak. So talk to us. So what's going on? Are we going to see some or hear new music in 2023?
Definitely we'll hear new music in 2023. I don't know what the heck it's going to be yet. That's what's that's been the issue. I'm trying to figure out. This is the first record I'm writing that it's not completely under a major label, so I don't have to really fit into a box. I can kind of experiment a little more. So
I can only imagine that's got to be great, because I remember Jim Root last week with Slipknot, he was kind of bitching and complaining about their most recent LP with Roadrunner Records because he felt like he didn't have enough time to actually indulge with his music. So what are some of those kind of benefits? Because I know it can be kind of time constricting when you're under a label. So what's different now than compared to the past?
I just feel like I'm able to take my time more. Like when I started basically as a solo artist with RCA in 2018, and being there, I love pop music and I always wanted to make pop music, so it was perfect, but I never really ever fully indulged in, taking my time or making exactly what I want. I never made a song longer than 3 minutes, right. And I love that, but I'm trying to explore a little bit more, especially since I'm getting I'm a little bit older now. I want to really make something that I can listen to and it be a time stamp in my life, and I can listen to it later and go, oh, that's where I was in my life, instead of just trying to make more of a product. They're definitely still going to be products. I love making products. I love making things that are predictable, but there's going to be some differences, I think.
What makes something predictable? I'm just curious. You're talking about product and predictability. What does that mean to you when you're writing and making music?
Yeah, traditional song formula, verse, chorus, verse two, chorus, bridge, chorus, out. And now it's quicker.
Yeah. Metalcore breakdown, in the pop punk rock.
You get. But that's traditionally what I would think of as something that is just more of a product, and the chorus repeats a certain amount of times, certain melodies, all that, which kind of just comes natural to me. So I never felt like I was even making that, but when I started showing it to other people, they were like, oh, you totally make pop structured songs. And I was like, I have no idea, man. I grew up listening to REO Speedwagon and Tom Petty, Tom Petty specifically.
Love Tom Petty. Sorry.
Yeah.
I wish I could have seen him live. That's one of my biggest regrets.
I got to see him 3 months before he died, maybe.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Wow.
he was sweet. But yeah, he also does traditional like pop songs where like, but now they're like 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, and they're so quick. It's like a new formula. But
I mean, gosh, I was listening to Lorna Shore. They're a deathcore band, and man, they're releasing 9-minute songs this morning. I was quite amazed. But you know what? We're not talking about them. We're talking about you, my man. And I know one of the coolest things that you've done is you've released a deluxe edition of your LP, Everyone I Know Will Die, which features 5 reimagined bonus tracks of fan favorites. And why did you want to revisit these songs acoustically?
Yeah, so the original plan wasn't even to release a deluxe. I wanted to do a video series, which I'm still releasing one every Friday, of me playing the songs in a space acoustically. And most of the songs were kind of written on an acoustic and then produced into the pop punk type style. So nice. I knew they would come across well. I always love acoustic music too. There's something about hearing the melody.
Do you like to play on metal strings or nylon strings when you're playing your acoustic?
I love the Elixirs. They have like the best, brightest strings. It's good for me being like half.
And for anybody who's like... not a music fiend like the both of us, what do you mean when you say that?
Like the Elixir strings are made with something special. I don't know, some kind of phosphorus.
Hey, it just sounds good, okay?
Bullshit.
Just it's not
sounds
no
like
promotional.
A sorcerer. You're like, in the witch's pot, I'm gonna put my little strings.
That's right, Marissa. Exactly. That's absolutely correct. And I know we're actually going to be playing one of those music videos that you have said, and I do know that you just dropped another music video, but the one that we are going to be playing right now on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, is Necessities Stripped, and you can find that on Kulick's deluxe edition of Everyone I Know Will Die. And let's check it out right now, live on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show.
Think fast, don't look back, I promise you. Living in the past, you'll never see what's in front of you. Takes time to face your past mistakes. Space-time, I missed your energy. Move slow and let go, I promise you. Running this alone, you'll never get where you wanted to. Stay strong and keep on moving through. Ain't much, but it's all you can do. Sometimes I lose it like you lose it too. I wanna throw away all the things I used to think I needed. I wanna numb the pain with everything I had to quit to keep living. I wanna run away to a place where I can stop for 1 minute. Just let it go, New year with new fears, I'm going through this panic in my chest, cold sweats like I used to. My youth, though, I thought I was past that. Guess it's true, what you give back. But I'm through with feeling useless. I don't do the self-pity body where I feel like a nuisance. I don't answer messages, I don't make excuses. I'm too busy worrying about what's in the future. Sometimes I lose it like you lose it too. I wanna throw away all the things I used to think I needed. I wanna numb the pain with everything I had to quit to keep living. I wanna run away to a place where I can stop for 1 minute. Just let it go, I'm scared to death to feel alive, and I'm still mourning these past lives. I've been reborn 1,000,000 times. I fight it so quick. These mornings turn to night. One blink and everything passed by. There's nothing wrong, but it don't feel right. I fight it. Sometimes I lose it like you lose it too. I wanna throw away all the things I used to think I needed. I wanna numb the pain with everything I had to quit to keep living. I wanna run away to a place where I can stop for 1 minute and just let it go. Go. I wanna throw away all the things I used to think I needed. I wanna numb the pain with everything I had to quit to keep living. I wanna run away to a place where I can stop for 1 minute. Just let it go.
Yeah, that's what's good. That is Kulick, and that is his song Necessities Strip. You can find that on the deluxe edition of Everyone I Know Will Die. And we got the man here himself. And you know what I find really incredible? But before I even say what I'm about to say, I need to make sure that I let everybody know that this is Strike a Chord, where if you physically or digitally pick up that record, you're going to know these tracks. And we got the one and only rising pop rocker Kulick with us right now. And what I find remarkable about you, my man, is that you as an artist, you don't allow your hearing impairment to stop you from creating music. I mean, a lot of the times my biggest fear is like cutting off a finger or like losing my leg like the guy did in The Ghost Inside from that terrible bus crash. But like, how are you able to sing or play guitar or even mix songs, with this hearing impairment?
Yeah, so the way I explain it is that I never experienced life with normal hearing. So it didn't really affect me. Like I didn't understand that it really affected me. So I was born half deaf in both ears. Most people hear at 20 decibels. I hear at 40. So it's kind of like if your television's on 10, I'm not going to hear it. If it's on 20, I'm starting to hear it. It's like basically half your hearing. I don't think I never let it affect me. I never really actually acknowledged I was half deaf till like 2 years ago when I started really wearing my hearing aids. I mean, I wore them on and off in school, but pretty much got like picked on for it, whatever. And then once they got Bluetooth, I was able to listen to music in my hearing aids. So
nice.
I wore them
Awesome.
all through high school so actually made me more deaf because I was listening to music instead of using them.
Yeah. You're not actually paying attention to the classroom.
Yeah.
What were some of those musics that you'd be blaring in your Bluetooths?
I was always like A Day to Remember. I was.
Now I can hear the inspiration behind some of your lyrical content now.
Yeah, I loved them, man. That was the first band that I found like for myself. Like I always had influences like from like my parents or whatever, but that was the first band that I was like, oh, I get them. Like no one believes them in their hometown, and they need to leave to figure it out. And I was like, all right, cool. Like that's what I'm gonna do now.
And that was some of the big moves, because I know you're from Pennsylvania, but are you currently here in Los Angeles or?
Currently, I'm actually in Pennsylvania, but I moved like 11 times in my life and ended up being back out here with COVID. And then the rent ended up being cheap. And we were like, all right, we're going to get a 2-bedroom like apartment. One of the bedrooms is going to be a home studio. And that's like this is a bedroom. This is the bigger bedroom. Is
that something that you got to do as a pursuing artist? Is like you can't be fixated, at your hometown, because that seems like a common theme amongst a lot of the Strike a Chord artists that, if you want to pursue that dream, you cannot be doing it at the comfort of your own home. You got to make moves. You got to venture out. I mean, is that how you found success?
I think life experience is so important to get perspective. Like that's why touring is so important. You get to see that. I don't know if you need to not live in your hometown. For me specifically, the people there were very, very negative in everything, not just my music. And they also wouldn't have understood what I was making. Like where I'm from is very blue collar. It's like butt rock. That's like what everybody loves there.
They listen to Guns N' Roses, some hair metal.
Yeah. But you go more like Foo Fighters, Bush. Like those types of the active rock bands for radio format.
Well, I just find, your story totally incredible. I feel like the motto in your life is kind of like Quiet Riot. We don't bring it at level 10. We bring it to a level 11. And that's what Kulick brings with your music. And I know the track that we're about to be playing is full of catchy punk rock hooks. This song's called Time to Go. And real briefly, what's the message behind this track?
Yeah. So like the whole record is pretty much like about accepting death. There was something crazy going on with my partner. I had to be in the hospital all the time with her. And Time to Go was written with an acoustic riff, which is not even in the real song. In the acoustic song, I do it. But the song was basically just about not, life being so overwhelming and thinking about my past, how I was growing up, and then like I still don't want to die because like it's too good. Like I want more life. I think you can either pick one or the other, either be really depressed about it or like really go for it. So like
I think
it's
that's
like
so true, man.
So it's like optimistic, but yeah.
No, I think that's a beautiful message. And let's let the music speak for itself. We got the music video right now on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. This is Kulick's music video, Time to Go, live on Strike a Chord.
I was wasted from 13 to 17, stealing drinks from the basement, hoping someone would notice me. I was so frustrated. That time in my life was darker than the burning pavement that I'm still chasing. I was chasing anything to get me high, get me by, forget my life for a moment, hoping you can change if I could only have you change your mind. Be more open, move out to the west coast, learn to really let it go. Live in the moment, but moments just become the past when you're living too fast to notice. I don't wanna rest, I feel sorry for the people in the back ready to go home. I don't really think about the past, it's too difficult. I don't think you'll ever be ready when it's time to go. When it's time to go, no, I don't need the rest. I feel sorry for the people in the back ready to go home. I don't really think about the past, it's too difficult. I don't think you'll ever be ready when it's time to go. I was anxious, thinking maybe I would never be free from your expectations. To be you and not be me, I was no one's favorite. Spend nights on my bike all alone on the cold dark pavement, just trying to escape it. I keep chasing anything to get me high, get me by, forget my life for a moment, hoping you can change if I could only have you change your mind. Be more open, move out to the west coast, learn to really let it go. Live in the moment, but moments just become the past when you're living too fast to notice. I don't wanna rest, I feel sorry for the people in the back ready to go home. I don't really think about the past, it's too difficult. I don't think you'll ever be ready when it's time to go. When it's time to go, no, I don't need the rest. I feel sorry for the people in the back ready to go home. I don't really think about the past, it's too difficult. I don't think you'll ever be ready when it's time to go. When it's time to go, no, I don't wanna rest. I feel sorry for the people in the back ready to go home. I don't really think about the past, it's too difficult. I don't think you'll ever be ready when it's time to go. When it's time to go, I don't need the rest. I feel sorry for the people in the back ready to go home. I don't really think about the past, it's too difficult. I don't think you'll ever be ready when it's time to go. When it's time to go.
Yeah, that's what's good. That is Kulick's music video, Time to Go. And you can find that on that deluxe edition as well. Everyone I Know Will Die. And you know what? One of the coolest things when I was talking with you real briefly yesterday, you know, you were expounding on how a lot of the knowledge, you know, needed to become a successful artist is something that you understand about the music industry. And now you're pursuing a new venture called Pair Entertainment. And why do you want to do this? Why the new move to give back?
Yeah, I've always recorded like my friends while I was always doing my own stuff, and I realized my partner April is also an artist. April Rose Gabrielli, and she produces as well. And we were just like, why don't we just try to? I think she had a message from somebody that was like, you know, I'd love to have a female producer, and then she was like, okay, my partner does that too. And we kind of started with that, and we just kept getting more and more people. And we were like, we should like make this like a studio where, you know, we've been in traditional studios before. We know how much money it costs. Like we do it for definitely less than that. And we want it to be more like an artist environment of like, okay, we are also artists too. We understand like the patience it takes. We understand like, you know, also how to craft the song, but more importantly, more about the connection with the artist. So it's been really great to do that. we have a website up and everything. If there's anybody listening who would want to produce.
There's no secret that there's a lot of money in the music industry. And, before Bruno Mars, became a household name, he was ghostwriting for a lot of, popular artists, like CeeLo Green and Flo Rida, to name a few. And I didn't even know that, the Imagine Dragons singer was on the Howard Stern show a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how he was a ghostwriter. Is that something that you're thinking about doing? Writing for some of our favorite artists?
I would definitely ghostwrite if I had the opportunity and the connections to. I think that's.
Would you do it? I guess the real question that's been coming up recently, kind of, with Beyonce as well. I want song credit. Is that something that you would need if you're gonna be quote unquote ghostwriting? I guess it wouldn't be ghostwriting anymore if you got song credit. But it seems like that's been the big debate in 2022.
Yeah. It depends if it moved the needle for me. Like if it was like a big opportunity, it's like, all right, cool, I'll do that one. Cause like, I'm always a fan of like, just do the work and then more of that work will come and you can get what you deserve at that point, like get your foot in there first. Like, don't, like I don't deserve the entire room first. I just want the door cracked a little bit,
Yeah, no, I think that's a totally powerful message. And I know the last track that we're about to be playing on Strike a Chord is titled "The People I Know Don't Like Me," which is hard to believe, my man, because just chatting with you real briefly, you sound like an incredibly dope dude. so why do you feel so out of place?
Yeah, no. I feel great now. But this was written more.
So what changed? I mean, is it finding a new partner in life or what?
Definitely, for sure. But no, like this was written in the perspective of like when I was in high school in my hometown, like what was I going through then? And like now, like seeing some people that never left the hometown and all they do is like live in their parents' basement and like go out and drink and they're not really doing anything. And then I thought about them like in high school and it was like, oh, like I didn't like them and they didn't like me. Like there was just something that just didn't, something in that town did not, they did not support growth or like expression. Like I was in a cover band in that town and even that was like, like crazy that this guy's singing like in public. So yeah, so I wrote it more in that, like it's not, I'm a loving dude and I haven't met many people.
I mean, when we're all teens, we're all a bit insecure. I mean, everybody's kind of comparing themselves nowadays. And could you imagine growing up now with the influence of social media today? I mean, I couldn't bear with that. I mean, I was in the era of like MySpace was just getting created. Facebook was Facebook before all the baby boomers ruined it and turned it into a never-ending yearbook. But man, oh man, I feel like this message speaks loud and clear today, especially with the newer generation. And let's go ahead and play this kick-ass music video that's called "The People I Know Don't Like Me" live on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show.
Your mother's basement, your father's paycheck, you feel complacent. I know. You play your sad songs and your video games. It's the weekend, are you drinking again? There's no wonder we'll never get along. I'm not like the people I know, the people I know, they never left home. I don't like the people I know, the people I know don't like me, don't like me. I don't like the people I know, the people
Well, who cares what the people think? That is such
honestly,
a bitchin'
that's my
badass.
favorite song of yours. That's
No,
my
it is so much
favorite
fun.
song.
Thank you.
I love that
And
song.
you know, you were hyping a
Thank
little bit
you.
of the new music, but you were kind of saying, you know, the new frontiers kind of changed it a little bit. Are you going to be seeing this kind of same music again, or are we going to be hearing something different in 2023?
Production style will definitely be different. Every record I ever put out is always different stylistically, but the songs are always at its core me, and they're definitely Kulick songs, and you'll feel them no matter what. So
hey, that's what's good. And Kulick, we can't thank you enough again for joining Strike a Chord, where if you physically or digitally pick up that record, you're gonna know these tracks. And man, enjoy the weekend, my friend. It was such a blast having you on.
thank you so much for having
Thank
me,
you.
guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely,
Thank
brother.
you so
Hopefully we'll
much.
talk soon in the new year. Man, I can't wait to hear that new music. But for everybody that's tuning in right now on YouTube Live, stick around because there's more left on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. This is what's good because there's so much negativity on channels 2 through 11. So Marissa Pitts and I, we break the mold and let you, the CCS family, know what's good. So a Maryland firefighter, Megan Warfield, is wired to help others. So when the pregnant 30-year-old was a passenger involved in a multi-car collision earlier this month, she brushed aside her labral contractions to save a person trapped in their vehicle.
After every vehicle kind of stopped, made sure my mom was okay because she was driving, and I realized that that the car in front of us had flipped and that there was someone trapped inside. So I got out and kind of just went over and just reassured her, held her in place until additional pieces could get there. We got down to Johns Hopkins and I had some contractions that entire night, and then they decided that our little Charlotte was due to come into the world.
And the mom and the baby are doing well, and Megan says she can't wait to get back to her firefighting duties. And I just love that story, Marissa. I think it's super cool that, you know, someone who can combat, you know, and really kind of, you know, what was really funny, you know, reading the article too, Marissa, was that a lot of people were saying, oh, that's funny. You're on Mars though right now. It's all good. We need you for the last. Hey, that's funny. Those are the glitches in reality, but don't let us change up what we're talking about right now, CCS family. This woman's so freaking amazing. She was cracking me up. She said this was like the one time she can actually feel like she can go back to work. There's a lot of people that don't want to go back to work, but this pregnant woman, she made it happen. I think that is so freaking amazing.
I love it. I love that she's a firefighter. I mean, we're talking about, you know, we just had Jenny on, a director with Pro Women. We don't see a lot of women firefighters. It is a thing. Every force is getting them in, and not just behind the desk answering those calls. I'm talking about on the field, grabbing people, saving lives. And I love it. You know, she's what I expect out of a firefighter.
You know, it's really amazing about this one clip. And I was kind of, you know, I was having a dog walk, you know, with my madre. And, you know, I was really kind of, you know, talking with her and really saying, you know, I feel like this might be a good lesson, not only for myself and others, but like we all should be practicing CPR like every 6 months.
You don't know how to do CPR?
No, well, like I do, but I feel like it's a bit foggy. No, I'm just being real. And I feel like there's a lot of people like myself out there. And I feel like when you watch this kind of stuff, when you see, you know, police officers or even firefighters or the paramedics kind of jump in action, I feel like these are a lot of the common traits that a lot of us need to kind of, you know dust the cobwebs a little bit.
People might not realize that you don't actually have to blow into the person's mouth. It's really the chest contractions. So if the only thing you do as you're waiting for actual help from paramedics or firefighters or police officers is chest compressions, you can save a life and just keep pressing.
See, those are the things that I'm talking about, Marissa, and that's why I got the one and only co-host with me right now on the Chris Collins Show. I mean, you know what's good, and I think that's really the message that we want to really transcend with everybody. So again, this woman is a beautiful soul. But we want to thank everybody who likes and subscribes to the Chris Collins Show, because without you guys, this show wouldn't be possible. And we got to give another huge shout out again, Marissa, to our fabulous guest, Jenny Waldo. She's the writer and director of her directorial feature film, which is Acid Test. You can go and find that on video on demand. And also the pop rocker himself, Kulick. He was amazing. And go ahead and check out his deluxe edition of his record, which is called Everyone I Know Will Die. And you can find that right now on all streaming services. And while we got you guys here for the last minute of the show, we want to let you guys know who our next week's guest is. And that next week's guest is triple threat. He's a writer, director, and actor, Paul Schuler, to talk about his horror film, Red River Road, as well as strike a chord artist from Sweden, Bring the Hoax. And follow us on social media by following our handle at Chris Collins Show for more updates on guest announcements, new interviews, and so much more. And check it out right after the show. Our 6th installment of Off the Fret with emo rocker Anson is out now on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to become a member and you like what you're listening to on the Chris Collins Show, you can go right now to our website and get that free CCS t-shirt before it's too late. And everybody, my time is gone, but I want you to enjoy the weekend, fam. Peace. What's good, party people? Chris Collins Show presents Music Storm 2022, hosted by Chris Collins and Marissa Pitts, featuring Royals, Hurricane Highway, Cannibal Kids, Amanda Cooksey, Astoria State, Kid Dad, Resounding, Sleep Cycles, Avenues, Freckles, Weather Worn, Just True, Sophia Marie, Music Storm 2022, available on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Peace. Our brand new podcast, Off the Fret.
I love it. It's more time to chat. Hello.
You look so jazzy. I love your outfit. How far would you go to start playing live music again? This slaps harder than my ex when she got her stimulus check. So, are you here to bring the sexual healing with your music? Everything is everything, and I guarantee you're going to hear this song in the future. I love the flow, man. Politically charged album. So, if you get easily offended, this might not be the album for you. Brand new podcast, Off the Fret.
So excited.
Has Kim Kardashian accidentally sent you a coochie shot?
Do you want to stay there? It's completely your choice. Or you want to...
I feel you. And you know what? I love it. Off the Fret. More music talk. Peace. What's good? I'm Chris from the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, featuring Anson, set to bridge early 2000s emo rock with today's mainstream stratosphere, amassing millions of streams online, joins Off the Fret. More music talk.